Let's get into the weekend outlook. We'll take a look at a whole slew of tokens, everything from Ethereum, Bitcoin. We'll break down the AI tokens for you. What does the market look like going into the weekend and possibly through the month of June? You guys are going to love it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Joining me today, of course, is Mr. Tim Warren, coming in from Investing Bros. Great to see you back here on the show.
Absolutely. It's great to be back, Paul.
Yeah. A couple of things happening right now. We've got a little bit of movement in the macro. Denmark goes in, cuts rates by a quarter, down to 3.35 now. And this, of course, followed Canada and the EU. Man, are we setting up for a rate cut? Do you feel something in the wind here, Tim? Do you think we're going to see one?
You know, I have a lot of different connections and people that I trust a lot who continue to say the markets should not see a rate cut. We shouldn't have one for at least 6 months. But when I look at the CME Fed tool, do you ever watch the CME Futures Fed tool?
Yep.
Yeah, that one I'm looking. I'll share my screen here and kind of walk people through it. If you look here, June, we're definitely not looking at a rate cut. July, you start to see some people predicting it, but overwhelmingly, we're staying the same. September, this morning, this was over 50%. So we are seeing a shift in saying, hey, September might not happen. But still at this point, the markets the markets look to expect a November rate cut and then still a decent chance for December. Yeah. And I told people on my channel, I went live this morning kind of covering some of those details. And I said, you know what? We can predict whether it happens or not, but ultimately it doesn't matter as much if it happens. It matters is if people think it'll happen, because if we think one comes in September or November, we should see bullish price action. We should see it rally into then. And then as we get closer, if something changes, then price will drop because we're not going to see a rate cut anymore. But right now, I think that we cooled off a little this morning after those job numbers. I don't know if we're going to talk about that. There's some details about that are a little fishy. But I still think a lot of people are expecting at least one cut before the end of 2024.
Well, the job numbers, to the point you're getting at, I think we still see a lot of manipulation around the job numbers, because when you look at the core jobs, and we know what kind of the situation is right now economically with a lot of the major industries, especially the restaurant industry, which is one of the biggest job contributors to those numbers. That one is a factor. I think the data point we have to see, which is always the case, is going to be the inflation number. Once we see CPI next week, that will give us some insight. However, with what you're talking about in a possibly Q4 rate cut, if we do get a one, which I believe is going to be the case, is if we get one, it's going to be one rate cut. But Bitfinex analysts came in and said Bitcoin's bull market top could occur around Q4 this year. What is your thought right now on Bitcoin? Do you feel like that is the case with a Q4 top for Bitcoin?
There's a lot of factors that will go in, but at this point, I'm not predicting that to be the case. I think, without getting too much into the weeds, I think the election season that comes up in quarter four of 2024 will say a lot about that. I think continually watching the inflows and outflows of the ETFs is going to be interesting, but it's just weird that we're setting some record numbers for inflows despite being at 70,000. We're matching some of the inflows we saw back around 50,000. So that's a pretty bullish sign. And again, I think, I don't know if you covered this on your show already, but that news we got from Robinhood yesterday, acquiring Bitstamp, and kind of their CEO saying crypto's the future. I'm actually wondering now, Paul, I'm not key on this idea yet. I'm not putting all my eggs in this basket, but I'm wondering, are we seeing some of the things develop that could lead to a super cycle, meaning the end of the 4-year cycle not ending early, but not ending at all, and we can rally.
Let's take a look at the chart real quick. Where do you like Bitcoin right now? Is this an uptrend over the weekend and into June, or is this a flat?
Yeah, good question. If we had been able, let's see, I hit the wrong button there. If we had been able to get maybe more favorable job numbers, I think there's a good chance that the price goes further to the upside. I had a target on my chart that I was watching for multiple reasons, actually, around 75,000. One of those was we just broke out here more recently out of this symmetrical triangle pattern. That gives us a breakout potential somewhere here just north of 75,000. But also, if you come over here, yes, you see a little bit of a channel right here. But if I were to go and get rid of this channel, which I easily can do, There's also a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern in play here where we have a neckline stretching out across. And if you take the breakout of the bottom of that head to that neckline and move it over, this also was looking to call for somewhere right there around 75,000. So a lot of people have been talking about the $80,000 level, and it is something I'm watching. But to me, I thought the next step for Bitcoin for multiple reasons was closer to 75K. If I'm looking at Bitcoin on the small time frame, like the 10-minute chart, people probably woke up this morning. If they looked at it like this, that's not the greatest looking chart on a 10-minute. We'll say, though, what you do see here, and I'm just now seeing this because I'm checking as I'm live with you, we do have a little bit of a falling wedge in play here to keep an eye on. That usually breaks to the upside. When I come to the larger time frames, though, like the 4-hour chart, and I turn on the Luxago oscillators, right here, this bright yellow box in play, that is what we call a breaker block, meaning we set some resistance way back in May, and this was a strong level of heavy liquidity, meaning a lot of people, when price got back up to this range, wanted to sell. You can see we had one rejection here on May 30th, another rejection here on June 3rd, but then when we broke through it, what happens is this liquidity, because there were still people willing to sell, those sellers just became strong buyers. And you also can see if that yellow block goes away, if I get rid of it, I think with this one, you also have what is called the smart trail, or a ranging moving average of support in play that comes in right in that same level. So I've told my audience, I'm not guaranteeing we get back down to 70,000, but 70,000 is still a very strong level of support. And until we lose that level, I still am going to remain bullish about Bitcoin's price action. And again, when I was looking at those smaller time frames, again, I'm going to watch this tightly the rest of the day, this falling wedge pattern. The other thing I'll watch is the oscillator. I think the oscillators are not yet showing us on the 4-hour chart that we're ready to explode, but you do see stochastics is overextended. We're bouncing on the 50 on the RSI, and then over here, where the money flow is kind of keeling sideways. There's not a lot happening on that oscillator, but the daily chart is showing, hey, this momentum we're in, stochastics might have a small reversal, but our oscillator here still shows positive money flow, positive momentum. So I'm kind of in a mix right here. There's still a chance that we reject. If you were to look at the daily chart, I told my audience, we got to get above this $72,000 order block right here, and we have not done that yet. But there still are a lot of positive signs out there. And if you look, and I know we kind of mentioned it a second ago, if you look into the details of the job report, I do wonder how long before those details become more common thought and people realize, oh, those job reports are really not as good as we thought. This is even more reason to take my money out of that fleeting dollar and put it into something more stable like Bitcoin.
Let's take a look at ETH launch dates, especially if you look at the ETFs. Depends really on the issuers a bit here. A couple of points they make here is the SEC approved the 8 19B4 filings, but they can't start trading until they have the S1s. So we already know that. These registrants are self-motivated to be responsive to the comments they get, but it's really up to them on how responsive they are. So it's not necessarily into Gensler's hands, but it does kind of push it into. Do you think we get the S1s completed and ready to go, or do you think these asset managers might kind of drag their feet a little bit before we see an ETH ETF go live?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been so up and down what they're doing with that. I mean, at one moment it feels like he's just staunchly, Gary Gensler, that is staunchly against it, refusing to let it happen. Mm-hmm. And then you have some changing of guards at CEO positions in very important companies. And all of a sudden, they're back to being pro Ethereum ETFs. I have my questions about the fishiness on that end, but I'm going to lean towards being positive and say I think that the S1s happen on schedule. I think that there's a lot of bullish price action in play. If I show you the charts, there's something very bullish on the Ethereum charts in play right now.
Let me see
that could give us the price that I'm watching that could be interesting within the next couple of weeks. Keep an eye around 4,800. Not quite to 5,000 just yet, although I'm not ruling that out. I'm looking at that target right there.
That's a big move.
And the reason why is look at this explosive price action we have. I'm actually being conservative, starting this around $3,000 on May 20th. Some people would actually start this little line all the way down here at 2,800 back on May 14th. Okay. Right. But what you have here, a symmetrical triangle pattern on the end of a very vertical price prediction breakout. The more aggressive prediction actually puts us above 5,000, putting us new all-time highs around 5,200. Again, I told you I'm gonna kind of stick to a little bit more of a conservative estimate. I'm gonna go with the bottom being right here, and that's what gives us a price breakout up to about 4,800, just south of 5,000, and of course putting us right there around former all-time high. And you can see right now Ethereum's wrestling. If I were to come down to lower time frames, it's wrestling right now. It's actually right below it, but wrestling with a level of support. However, if I pull up other things, you're going to see a lot of support right in this area. We are seeing a sell signal come. Oh, it just went away, so not a big deal right now. A strong order block and the smart trail, again, that cloud of very strong moving average support level. I still think even Ethereum drops here to about 3,700. It's still in this triangle. A wick is not a big deal to me. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for that big move to the upside. And there's just a lot of reasons. I think the ETFs are just the beginning case for why you should be bullish on Ethereum.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons to be bullish on that class right now. And I'm not even going to go into all those details. I'm just going to say Ethereum, the chart looks good. The ETFs should be coming very, very soon. Hodl those Ethereum bags, everybody.
Yeah, well, for sure. I'm looking at a little bit longer time frame. I was looking at this article right here. This is a price prediction coming in. They upgraded this, announced for a Q1 of next year, though, around an ETH 10K price, which that would fit into the cycles if we in fact do see some movements here. Here's kind of an analysis. You look at what's happening with Bitcoin. You've got Solana potentially on the move as well, maybe this fall and summer. Remember, Breakpoint's going to be happening. We're going to see a lot of new advancements there. And you also have the situation with Ethereum coming in. So here's an example. I give you 10K today. You're going to trade one of those three tokens. And you can sell, you trade it within a 6-month range. Which one would you put the 10K into? Bitcoin, ETH, or Solana?
I mean, you're going to find the most room in Solana. Not saying how long do I trade it for? Am I trading for next month?
You got 6 months.
So I'm going to pretty much be taking to December.
Yeah.
So Solana is going to do well. And if you told me more like 8 to 12 months, I'm going with Solana. Since you're saying just 6, I think we're still in Bitcoin season. I think very soon, maybe in the next month or two, we're going to start seeing Ethereum outpace. And Ethereum has a good amount of time that it's going to probably run the market. And the altcoins will come later. I think the altcoin season does start late in 2024. But I'm wondering if the pump that Ethereum can get in there just still has it as a better option than Solana over the next 6 months. So I might go with Ethereum of those three. But again, if you're asking 8 to 12, I think Solana is the clear winner on those.
All right, 8 to 12 on Solana. Well, okay, I'll let that caveat come in. I'll jump to this topic on Solana, and then we'll take a look at the chart. U.S. elections now potentially a variable, huge variable, for Solana ETF. Now, an ETF coming in on Sol would be significant. So remember, we had Gensler admitted that it'll take time until ETHs get launched, but most likely that's going to happen in the next couple of months already. And then everybody's talking about what could be next. And one of the things, it's unlikely that the approval of ETH will result in a large wave of approvals. That's the question mark. But you got a few people saying, hey, maybe there is an opportunity. Some hedge funds and wealth managers say they have said their altcoin holdings now are positioning into Sol. You know what that means. We're going to start seeing some coil up in potential wealth management going into a Sol. So if you look at the chart right now, do you feel like Solana's asleep at the wheel during, on-chain summer with what's happening over with Base?
Oh, sleep at the wheel. I don't know if I'm going to compare it to other things here. I'll just kind of take a look at Solana. I'm big on Solana. I have told people, don't expect Solana to mimic the exact same explosive patterns and just blow everything else out of the water. There's going to be other altcoins beneath it that have better gains. But what I'm looking at right now, after dropping below, when these were levels that I called months ago, even when we were up here closer to 200, I told people, hey, do not be surprised to see a price action come all the way down below 120. Sure enough, that's exactly what we did. But then on the upside, I said, hey, look for bounce back here. When we can clear 160, that could serve as some good support. And exactly that's exactly what happened right here. We used as support back here in March. We used it as resistance here between April and early May. And now we've tested it twice as support already here, late May, early June. Could we head back down to that level? Yes, we could, but this is going to continue to be some strong support right in this area. Definitely if I were to come to the 4-hour chart for sure. So I'm not necessarily worried about Solana until we start to lose 160. If 160 is lost, I'll have to reevaluate. You can clearly see here on the order blocks, 140 comes back into the equation. It's not bullish right now. I'll tell you that. I mean, if you're looking at saying, hey, if I buy Solana today, will it just take off? Well, I'm not necessarily seeing those signs based off the 4-hour chart. But when I come to the longer time frames, I still see a lot of positivity. Let's actually even go out to the weekly chart. Let's see what's happening on the weekly chart. A very strong breaker block here on 140. So again, could we fall to 140? We could. But look at the weekly chart. Stochastics is overextending to the downside. The RSI cooled off a very healthy amount. While we still have negative money flow here, we have positive momentum on the weekly chart, which means this money flow should keel over and go positive. And with us recently having a reversal dot right there, I don't know if people can see it, but it's a green dot. If we can get that money flow to go positive on the weekly chart, the wheels are back on for Solana, and the potential to have a big move to the upside is back in play.
Uniswap on the move this week. We saw a lot happening. When you look at Uniswap right now and understand just the movement with on-chain summer, with what we're going to see potentially in some other aspects of how growth could happen with Uniswap, do you like this token?
You know, I go in and out on Uniswap. I did have a very big trade on it here over the last little bit. If I share my screen, we caught this wave right here. We entered on the breakout here in the Investing Bros group, and we caught this wave that rode up. I think we took profits somewhere closer around 1288 area. We didn't catch all of it. Uniswap is one that I think obviously it's going to be in play. I've made a prediction though a while back, and I need to go back and evaluate some stuff, but I made a prediction that I think that by the end of this bull market, we could see Jupiter. Oh, there's a trade right in there. I need to update and check out. I'm not going to be surprised if Jupiter starts to wrestle to take some dominance away from Uniswap going forward. I just think that what Jupiter has done, being on Solana being a hot coin as well, I think it's inevitable that Jupiter will eventually branch off and do its own thing. The charts don't really explain what I'm kind of getting at right here, though. I think that it's not a crazy expectation to see Jupiter pass Uniswap. So I'm not going to say I'm a Uniswap bear. I'm just not necessarily the biggest Uniswap optimist. I think there's other things out there that could take over. And we all know, and those who have been in the crypto space for a while, Uniswap will come in and out of favor with the crypto space. They'll make moves that make you fall back in love with them, and then they'll do some things that make you scratch your head and say, are you even a fan of the decentralized world of crypto? So that's what, to me, opens up the door for someone else to come in and take that position. I think Jupiter and the team that they have and the things that they're doing, they're the right one to kind of say, hey, if someone's going to take up that mantle, Jupiter is the one to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about AI, because that's a handful of tokens. We've got Apple coming in with their Worldwide Developers Conference next week. We could see a revamped Siri along with other scenarios that would only increase the potential, especially if we get a new OS for iPhone, iPad, and Mac, which is going to open up some opportunities for Octane X Render and what that might look like. Do you like Render right now? What would be your top AI play? Would you go PAL, Render, Akash? Where would you fall on these?
Yeah, I'm a Render guy, I am growing very much into a Near guy as well.
Okay,
and I'm excited to watch what ASI does. I think we're a week away from that merge between Ajax, FET, and Ocean. But Render is the one that I select, and I say, you know what? I'm excited about what it's done already, the momentum it's had already, the relationship that it has with NVIDIA is a very, very powerful thing. And there's a lot of AI tokens that NVIDIA likes, but I don't know. I mean, maybe you disagree. To me, I watch and I feel like if NVIDIA had an altcoin that they were going to back,
it'd be Render.
It'd be Render.
XRP, big news for them. Continued wins. We're going to see a stable coin for XRP. We've got, their summit coming up here this summer. Matter of fact, it's just around the corner. What are your thoughts on XRP as a whole? Do you like it coming in?
So I have a complicated here. I have a complicated relationship with XRP, and I want people to know I am not anti-XRP. I used to be a long time ago. I was one of the people who was like, "Oh, XRP is that banker coin," but I opened my understanding. I listened to people disagree with me, and I changed my mind. I think that XRP is a very good token. I think there are some things that are in play that are heavy competition to it, meaning other altcoins. Like, for example, one of the reasons I'm very bullish on Chainlink is I think Chainlink has stolen a lot of thunder that a couple of years ago we would have given to XRP. But the relationships that Chainlink's building, I think that's a little bit stealing from XRP. The other thing is I know they've announced that they're not going to do it yet, but the key word there is yet. What happens if Ripple goes public and all of a sudden they have a stock? All of a sudden, I mean, I think that might take some money away from the token to go into the stock. And if Ripple is sitting here as a company, if they become a publicly traded company and they have a stock, they're going to be much more concerned about making sure those numbers are right
stock price,
than the XRP coin. And then you have I know you just announced the stable coin. And I'm curious, I'm interested to hear if there's an argument to say it's bullish. I've even listened to very pro XRP analysts, people who love XRP, say this stablecoin, it a little bit hurts the use case of the actual XRP token. And when you come here and you look at the charts, you know, it's a joke, and it's it's not a stable coin, but the joke is that XRP is a stable coin right now. I mean, ever since back here early April, we really have just kind of hovered here around 51, 52 cents. It will break out. For anyone who wants to know about the bullish side of XRP, I've been tracking this. Guys, we've been in a long-term symmetrical triangle pattern all the way back to March of 2020. Guess what that was? COVID. Very big breakout. I think that we have a breakout, and I'm looking right now at the market going a little higher than this, but this breakout takes us just to about 550. I think we could clear $6 on XRP. I still think there's a very strong XRP army. I don't think Chainlink and others will completely wipe out the use case for XRP, but I would be lying if I said I didn't have questions moving forward on things that I don't feel like XRP capitalized on, and they allowed others to come in and maybe steal some of their thunder. I think it's not impossible for XRP to have a big day and be the number one coin for banks again. But right now, I think they're losing the battle against Chainlink for the future.
Well, the key, I guess the argument there, I think, would be stablecoin integration is going to, I think, add to the validity of what Ripple is doing as a whole. Now, the IPO argument, there's some argument there, but at the same time, you've got the opportunity here where the token becomes such a utility component that it could raise a lot more awareness around XRP. It could flip the script and where it's more popular because of the fact that there's an IPO and there's a utility function within it.
Maybe.
Added that into some of the things they're doing inside of Futureverse. You look at Root Network, there's a lot of opportunities over there. We just had the guys on from Futureverse this week. And man, there's some very interesting things going on from a technology standpoint. And the minute that opens up, I think, within the Root Network, then it changes the dynamic for XRP, the token. So
I would love it. I am not anti-XRP. I am rooting for XRP. I hold a bag of XRP. So I hope that everything works out extremely well and I make a lot of money on it.
Last thing I want to hit on is GameStop. Obviously, Roaring Kitty was out today talking because that's all he was doing was talking. I don't know. Did he actually make a trade, guys? Did he make a trade ever? Do we know? But hey, listen, he doesn't really do that. That's not his shtick. But GameStop they closed up 47% yesterday. Of course, now I think it's down almost probably that amount if I go into the chart and take a look at GameStop. What do you think about this token? Yeah, it's down back under $29 right now. I'm on the hourly right here.
Yeah.
After it saw that rise. What do you think? Is this even worth it right now? I mean, maybe people have been playing GME on Solana and Base and things like that, but not necessarily the stock.
So, is it worth it? You know, I am not a big meme guy. Because I tell people like, hey, it's fun and you can make a lot of money if you sell at the right time. But you know, most retail investors, they don't want to get out. It's one of those things like, oh, my money is 2x, but what if it 4x's? And then at 4x, what if it 5x's? And they get themselves in a place where I've heard of traders who at a certain point are in a meme coin up 30, 40x. And I'm sitting here saying, take profit. What are you doing? You're up.
Go, baby.
What if I can get to 50x? And then while they're waiting for that next move, all of a sudden, within 48 hours, you get like a 70, 80% crash. And now all of a sudden they went from being up 40x to being down money. And so I don't pay as much attention there. This is all very much deja vu for me, and probably is for you too, Paul. Those who are here in 2021 early, you remember the chaos of GameStop and AMC and all the drama and everything. But remember back to how that all played out.
Yeah,
it broke a lot of people. It turned a lot of people's very little money into zero money, and then there was a big frustration, Paul, and this is what I'm scared of. There was a very, very big outcry from people who felt like the money was stolen from them for some reason.
Right.
They cried out, they complained about it. And guess what happens when people complain about finances? Who listens to that complaint and decides to get involved?
Yeah.
The SEC and the government, and we don't want them any more involved. So to me, I'm very scared that something bad is going to happen again. And it'll get, like I said earlier, Jim Cramer, Gary Gensler, they are rooting for people to be involved with these meme coins and these meme stocks, because when they eventually crash, and they will crash because there's no utility behind them, now that will be the evidence and the argument they need to slam down their very strict regulation. I am hoping, I'm rooting for GME, and I'm rooting for memes right now to hold up, because I'm hoping we get into maybe a new regime here in the United States, and people with a little more common sense, and Gary Gensler's ousted.
Well, if you guys have not followed Mr. Tim, go over to Investing Bros over there on YouTube. He's getting ready to crack 20,000. Holy moly.
We are.
Here we go.
Close.
Here we go, baby.
This week, I think. Maybe by the weekend.
I like it. You'll hit that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, we're going to drop this today. If you guys are not subscribed to Tim's channel, get there right now. The PBN Nation, get out there. Let's push him over 20K. That's an easy lift for us. Definitely get you back on the channel here in a few weeks. Tim, thanks again for jumping in. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you for having me.
All right. You guys, if you're not pumped into the Diamond Circle right now, you got to get in on that, because it's a great place to get additional content. We're going to be doing something pretty cool as well that's happening that we'll be airing probably next week or the following, that is going to be doing some very special things. So you want to be part of the Diamond Circle, make sure and do that. If you're not in our Market Sentiment Index, this is where we do all of the sentiment on our top 30 tokens, on the overall blockchain group, as well as our altcoins and even TradFi markets. You guys can join all of that down in the links below. Check that out. Follow me on on X. I feel like Twitter is like, crypto Twitter is like the place right now. So just follow me on X, @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.